Alright, welcome to the Golden Dome. We can finally record this, I think. It depends on how long this goes and how long I can pull it out for, but yeah, we got a bit to talk about since the last podcast. Including that 12-team playoff format. So, the 12-team playoff format was very interesting, to say the least, but Notre Dame would be exempt from the first round bye because they're independent. Jack Swarbrick said, I don't want to hear anything about a 13th game, blah, blah, blah. I get why they do this. But what if, keyword, there's anybody that's going to come in here and go, oh, well, they wouldn't do this, or blah, 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 or just Bama. Again, this is all hypothetical. But what if Notre Dame hits a number 1 seed when this format... So, it would have to kick in after the 2025-2026 season because that's when the current CFP format is scheduled to end with the agreement. Now, let's say it goes into effect that next year. And then, let's say it runs, 10 years? Then it runs till the 2036-37 season. I think that's what it come out to. That or the year before. No, I think I'm right. But what if Saban's extensions till 2027-2028? Let's say there's a future where Saban's not at Bama for any reason, health, just done coaching, anything. Let's say he's done by that 10th year. Let's say in that 10th year, Bama's recruiting drops a little bit. They kind of come to mid-level with top teams, like your higher league teams that you usually see are good, which can fluctuate year by year. But let's say they've dropped from Bama tier to top tier. And then you've got Notre Dame, who, let's say they have a great recruiting year. BK probably is still, or could still be there. Let's say he's still there. Let's say 2 different coordinators, because I have a feeling Freeman probably will be snatched by then, and we may not have Reese by then. But let's say both those coordinators are also guys that go out and recruiting, like Freeman. And they bring a lot of talent in. You get a lot of 4 stars and 3 stars, and even a couple more, and even a couple 5 stars. Kind of like now, you get your 3 stars, your 4 stars. It stays developmental, like they're good with development of some players. And let's say Notre Dame goes number 1. Now, keep in mind this is hypothetical, and they're top of the league that year. They've been top 25 like always, but this year they've been a completely different team. They're destroying the rest of the league. Or the rest of their opponents. They don't get a bye. A team that would just walk all over any other squad that year, or most squads that year, with no problem, doesn't get a bye. But let's say Georgia's number 5 and Georgia's been mediocre by their standard, by SEC standards that year. Oh, but they get a bye. That makes sense. But whatever, it is what it is now for the proposal. If it does go into effect after that 2025-26 season, I'll be excited but disappointed at the same time. But hey, I mean, it works. I like the thought of a 12-team format. I like the thought of some sleeper teams coming up, and we actually get to see what they can do against other top-tier teams, like your Coastal Carolina, BYU, teams like that come out of nowhere. I honestly like Coastal Carolina, but they're one of my more liked teams, and I'm surprised that It's mostly because of the spotlight they put themselves in this year. But let's say you get one or two of those teams in, you've got it's going to be a majority, or if not fully Power 5 almost every year. And you're going to have at least probably 2, 3 SEC teams a year. That's what kind of sucks, is the SEC is the winner there. The rest of the league kind of loses in a little bit. But the Power 5 win, the other 5 lose. Though they could get a team or two in there. I think every year they're probably going to get, most of the time, 1 or 2 teams in there. Because that's how they are. They usually have 1 or 2 good teams. But 1 or 2 good teams in general. Like, I don't know. Cincinnati was good last year. They have their moments. A lot of their teams can be up or down at times, but it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with that, how it turns out, and what bowls they use, because they're not using bowls in the first round, and then they're using them in the rest. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going, so it'll be interesting to see what bowls they use. In the first round is going to be home field advantage to the higher seeded team unless they can do a new. I think it's unless it's somebody who usually does a neutral site game with the other team, like per se Notre Dame Navy, because I don't know if Navy will ever get to that point. Army has gotten to that point, but Navy hasn't. I'd love to see Army in this kind of format make it. I'm a big Army fan, but it's funny. Army has always been like one of my top 5 teams of just favorite, just because I know someone who served. But I don't know, and they were a fan of Army too, which is half the reason. But it'll be an interesting season. I can't wait when this gets put into effect. It won't be probably won't be as interesting as this season for Notre Dame, but it'll be interesting. And I'm probably going to a Notre Dame game this year, so hopefully they don't disappoint in the first part of the year. That'll be interesting. And I want to glance over this quick. Cohen versus Pine. That's going to be an interesting QB battle leading up to the season. That's going to be interesting. That's the one big position battle to watch on this team. That, and is Lindsey going to step up? I think he can, but it's a matter of not if, or what I think, it's a matter of what he can do. Notre Dame was pursuing a corner grad transfer. They let him go. Well, they didn't let him go. They made top 3. He went to Missouri. I can't remember his exact name or where he was out of here. I'll find it now. But, dude, I remember that was like 2 nights ago. That was on Friday. I got kind of mad because I literally remember going, really? Missouri? Why? We need a grad transfer. Unless everything pans out. And, I mean, he's going to come in and probably start unless Lewis puts up enough of a fight. I don't know if he can. But Caleb Evans chose Missouri over Notre Dame, Texas, and Texas Tech. Really? And he was a former Tulsa corner. That's what it was, Tulsa. That sucks. It really does. I was really hoping he'd show up here, but can't change it now. In other news, where was it? Right here. Notre Dame has put capacity to 100%. I know there's going to be some old news, but This is the first time I've recorded this podcast in a while, so I kind of want to get down thoughts on some stuff I didn't really get to talk about. I did talk about this. I can't wait. I actually am going in September, planning on trying to go to the Purdue game. Notre Dame, Purdue. I know, but hey, that's what we're working with right now. But it's better than Toledo. It's better than playing Toledo, huh? I really wish we didn't play Toledo week 1. I wish we had somebody else. Somebody good. I don't even know if is Purdue good this year? I don't know if they are. We did have a transfer in, which, oh boy. This is great, but before that, I want to talk about Dylan Gibbons. He transferred and he gone. He went to, let me find it. I don't exactly remember. This was like over a month ago. This was in early May. It is now, actually, yeah, slightly over a month. He went to the Seminoles. The Florida State University Seminoles. Why? He was a grad transfer, though. He will face... Huh? What do you mean he'll face his old team week 1? Yeah, I don't either. I think we play Florida State, though. Not week 1. Actually, yeah, we do. We have FSU week 1. I was thinking Toledo was week 1. I was thinking it was Toledo, somebody, Purdue. It is actually FSU, Toledo, Purdue. Weeks 1, 2, and 3 of September. So, that'll be interesting. But he was a fringe starter. And then, the funny part is we got a transfer in that filled his spot. And his name is Cain Madden from Marshall. Hold on, let me find... So, he was one of the best interior offensive linemen in the transfer portal, is what I heard around the time of this happening, or one of the better ones. Safe to say he at least fills the spot of Dylan Gibbons. At least. I'm excited for that. To have somebody new in there. I wish Gibbons would have stayed around, but he didn't. So it is what it is. Jordan Johnson left and landed in UCF. And then we lost another receiver. Jay Brunell. Did he entered the transfer portal? I don't know if he necessarily landed somewhere yet. No, he hasn't. Not yet. Not that I've heard. As soon as I get this recorded, it is 5:17. I'm recording this way later in the common flock. Something will break right after. I know it will. But that leaves the wide receiver spot I'm worried. I'm seriously worried that there's going to be too much pressure on the running backs and the tight ends, because look what you've got at wide receiver. Not a lot. It's the third transfer since spring ball. He joined Jordan Johnson and Kendall Abdur-Rahman, who also left. It only leaves 9 scholarship receivers this fall. And it's not ideal. Hold on. Who is... A lot of them are 4th and 5th year guys. I'm not... I went to look on Twitter like it was Google. Yeah, how many receivers do we have? Or who are our receivers? Not how many receivers. Not Alright, I've got it here. So you've got Lindsay, who is a senior/junior. So he's in his junior year. Or he's in his senior. He's in his 3rd year. Or 4th year. No, that's senior/junior. So he's Kevin Austin Jr., Lawrence Keys III, and Joe Wilkins Jr. And Matt Salerno. Hey! And Greg Maley. Yeah, that's Maley. Avery Davis is a grad senior. We have no other ones besides him, thankfully. We have Brunel's going out. Xavier Watts, who is a sophomore freshman. Henry Cook, who is also. Griffin Eifert, who is also. And you have freshman Lorenzo Styles Jr. Not the best pickings, but it's not bad either. It's not FCS guys, at least. I mean, we don't necessarily know that for some guys, so hopefully we're not that bad. There was one receiver that did hit the transfer market recently that I did want, and I was like, we may need this guy, or at least to try to go after him. We need some receivers. We do. I don't care if they're grad transfers, just to hold down the fort for now till you can bring in some freshmen. Which, I don't know who's in the... I wonder how many there are in the next class, because if there's not some already, or if there's not more than 2 already, they're recruiting. They've got to be actively recruiting at least 2. Because you're going to lose 1 this year. You just lost 3 of the transfer portal. Why not bring in 4 or 5? Now, these aren't final, so I always say that. These aren't final, so I'd take these with a grain of salt, but they've still committed. But they could also decommit at any time. So take it with a grain of salt, just like I am. But I'd go after as many as I can. But so you've got Styles Jr. is the only one that's enrolled so far. You've got NIL guys, Dion Colsey, who has signed NIL but has not enrolled yet. Jaden Thomas. And that's it. 2 receivers who have signed NIL but haven't come in with this class yet of 2021. Now, 2022, your guys for next year. If this loads. Those guys that have signed the NIL don't take with a grain of salt, because they've NIL'd, so they're coming in. But the other guy, there's other guys that have hard commit, but it doesn't mean they're going to stay. Currently, We have a hard commit from one receiver, Amarian Walker. One commit. Who are some receivers they've given offers to? For that class. 26. There's one that's warm. Some have signed. Two, three. Three warm, four warm, some signed. Some are cool, some are just eh. Five signed. Alright. Or not signed. Five are getting. Or they're going after and have offered. So, you gotta bring them in. You've gotta convince them to commit and then sign NILs later in the season and stay committed. Oh, this is gonna be fun to try and see what happens. Because they need receivers big time, and they need big receivers who are gonna make an impact. You need receivers now to stack up on now because you've got not a lot of them now. You're not gonna wait till later and say, oh yeah, this will smooth itself out. It's not. It's a thing of you have to face the music and you need, well, face the music. Face the facts, and you just need to capitalize on who Notre Dame is. But the good thing is now that the dead period's over, we've been getting a lot of visits, which I am very happy about. I was just looking through stuff quick. I really have nothing else. This came out to a good enough length that I'm gonna post this. So the big three is gonna be out this week, but unless we get a lot more news, we're not gonna get very much of a podcast till probably football season starts, or we get very close to it. But anyways, this has been the Golden Dome. Fighter out.